Good morning.
Good morning, all. How are you? Greetings, everyone.
Hello.
And welcome to our next
Positive
episode
energy
of the Positive Energy Podcast with Marcy and Kelly. I am, of course, Kelly A. Watts.
I don't think you could be anyone else.
And naturally, of course, sitting next to me is my
Hello.
great partner in spirit, Marcy Lambert Kelly.
Hello.
In our previous episode, we talked a bit about energy and recognizing the existence of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we also talked about energy flow.
Yes.
In this episode, we want to try and take now what we talked about with energy flow harnessing that energy and then actually applying it, utilizing that energy in the three spheres. We're always going to try and make sure we come back to this idea of the three spheres. So that's what we want to go into today.
And those three spheres, again,
please.
Being work, family, and your personal well-being, lack of stress, all that fun stuff.
Yep. In fact, in a future episode, we'll be talking about stress management and how to deal with negativity as well. So there's going to be a lot of that coming up. But before we go into that, I want to talk briefly about the third law. If you remember, in the first episode, we talked about the first law of thermodynamics being that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It merely moves or changes form.
And I was the one nodding the whole time.
In the second one, we talked about flow and how again, law of thermodynamics, heat moves from high temperature to low. Same thing applies with water, air pressure, and naturally, of course, energy. So energy moving from high concentrations to lower concentrations. And now we're talking about how to use this energy and implement it. Well, when we talked about energy flow, one of the things that we talked about was flowing like water.
Yes.
And essentially that's what the whole essence of today is going to be about, flowing like water. But going to the third law, I'm going to have to really read this because this is some super scientific stuff. In fact, I was debating whether or not.
There goes me.
Hey, listen, I've read it like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, man, should I even talk about this entropy stuff? But I feel like
entropy is important.
You have to.
It really
you have to understand what it is. And the reason why entropy. Let me just make sure I pull that
Google.
There you go on the phone immediately. Go right to Google. But the reason why we want to talk about that is these laws are universal laws. Everything in our physical universe is applicable and they adhere to these laws. So if that's the case, I'm not a rocket scientist or anything, but I'm pretty sure I'm kind of physical.
And I'm like this
physical world. I think I fit in here somewhere. So if that's the case, I might as well try and make sure my adhering to these laws is as easy as possible. So I want to try and understand them. But again, here's the law. The third law of thermodynamics is regarding the properties of systems in equilibrium. At absolute zero temperatures, the entropy of a perfect crystalline substance, which we are, at absolute zero is exactly equal to zero. So in sum, I get that to say, okay, zero entropy is the absolute 0 point when it comes to temperature. Now, with the temperature, when you look at this from thermodynamics, you're talking about a Kelvin temperature. I had to look at absolute 0 degrees Kelvin to find out what that was. Converted into Fahrenheit, I think it was like negative 459 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we're not going to get to absolute 0. But the idea of minimizing entropy to kind of scale entropy down, that is applicable. And now when we get to the definition of entropy, it becomes much clearer. The definition of entropy, I got to take my glasses off for this. A thermodynamic quantity representing the unavailability of a system's thermal energy for conversion into mechanical work, often interpreted as the degree of disorder or randomness in the system. And then the second definition just simply is, and this is the one that's so easily applicable, I try and make things as simple as possible, the lack of order or predictability. Gradual decline into disorder.
So in layman's terms.
So do we want to decline into chaos? No, that's high entropy. No, we want to try and minimize that. And have low entropy or low scale of entropy.
Yeah, because with the high concentration of entropy,
correct. There you go.
I think I graduated. No,
no.
You're not aligned. You're stressed out. You don't have control,
there
especially if you don't know how to balance that control or try and maintain it in any capacity. And every situation, again, as usual, is different. So unless you see the same family members or people all the time, then you kind of know what to expect, which actually is in your favor. But yeah.
So now how do we apply this idea of the third law and flowing like water with our energy. Because remember, when we use our energy to do work, we're feeding our energy into something. If you feed energy to something, it grows.
And we don't want to feed anything negative.
Correct.
That completely accelerates in the paranormal world. That's what they feed on.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the less drama you can keep, the better.
And in your regular everyday life, I mean,
Exactly.
if you tend to focus on negative things, we kind of
You draw
talk
it.
about
It's like magnetic.
about thinking things into existence, and
Yeah.
that's basically what happens. Why? Because your energy is being focused on that thing. It starts to grow and grow and grow, and it becomes noticeable.
Yeah, extremely noticeable.
And it's like, oh wow.
Some people it's like said before, misery needs company, and some people it's like they just have this look on their face, and you just don't want to even be around it, and you have to be polite and tactful, but. Quite honestly, you just have to turn around. Yep.
So how do we use this energy flow in our 3 spheres? Now, mind you, we're only focusing on these 3 because they seem to be rather overarching.
Yes.
You may have spheres within these spheres. So in other words, you may have 3 or 4 different types of jobs that you do. You may have a job and then a personal business and then another job. You may have 2 jobs and then stuff that you do, as far as earning money, like maybe you're an Uber driver or something like that. So there's a whole bunch of different spheres that could be overlapping or within one of these.
You can mind map your whole existence right now, but
Correct.
it still evolves over those 3
But
spheres.
the idea is, they'll be overarching. And really, like we said earlier, you want to try and find that little sweet spot in the middle. That's really what you're looking for, because that's where that perfect equilibrium point is. That's where that perfect balance point is for us. Hard to get to. But if you flow smooth, and I'm going to kind of think about this, I'm going to draw it. If you can see me, that's perfect. If you're just listening, just think in your mind. Think about the petals on a flower. You have a bud in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have a petal here, and then another one next to it. They kind of go around in a little loop, right? Well, just like you have those petals in the flower, that bud in the middle, that's your sweet spot in the middle, where the circles kind of overarch and connect. What you want to try and do is flow smoothly around each one of these arcs and then hit your middle. And then flow back around down this way and then come back around. And, sometimes you may have to not hit the middle. Go back around to the top this way and come back and then flow to the middle and flow to the other side. And each one of those petals are the different little smaller spheres that are in those bigger 3
Everyone's
orbs.
guilty of paying more attention to one sphere over the other, because not only do you feel it, but the people around you make sure you know too.
Yeah. Hey, you're not paying attention to me.
Where's this? Where's that? Why do this?
It's done in different kind of actions.
Exactly.
So you will know when you're in one sphere too much.
Yeah.
That's what happens with the energy buildup. We talked before in the 2nd episode about the energy getting built up in your chakras and you getting blocked.
Yep.
That's what happens when you focus too much in one sphere or focus too much on a couple of spheres. And, it's kind of like, the juggling act with the guy, he has all these different balls in the air, but next thing you know, he drops one. Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
It throws everything else off. So the seamless flow like water leads to a much easier, smoother, flow with the universe or alignment. All these words always
you're not going
seem to come
against
back.
it. You're going with.
You're
just
not
like what
resisting.
we were talking.
Yeah, you're not resisting. You're aligning with what the universe is talking about.